What is it when it comes to what's the price that's worth paying when it comes to trends? Right, because one of the trends from last night, and those who, like trends, whatever, this is just a conversation I want to have. Don't be like, oh, trends, they mean nothing. I get it. And that's kind of where I wanted to take this. Kelly, now, let me get the exact number for you here really quickly so we can tell our audience and tell you what I'm actually asking here.
Game twos.
Teams down 1-0 in the series at home in game two. Now 21-1 straight up, 20-2 against the spread since 2019. There you go. So part of me wants to go like, look, game one closed 4.5. This game closed 7. I think 7.5 in some spots, right?
Jeez, did it really?
I know. I think I saw a couple of 7s. Regardless, let's say it's 7. I know that for a fact. But Mike, every part of my being wants to take the Lakers at +7 because you're increasing a point spread by 2.5 points, and the only difference is that the team that is favored by 7 lost in game one. And this is the trend you're flying in the face of if you are doing that. So it's one of those, I got to talk to Doug Kazarian last night of ESPN fame. I actually thought he put it pretty well. It was one of those where it's like you can feel sound in your logic in betting against it, but when you lose, you're going to be kicking yourself because you're like, of course, I went against the dumb trend that, just keeps on cashing. But like at what point, like there's theoretical, we use the word value, in playing against this trend, but look at what you're at if you've been going up against it.
Yeah, it's tough because it's always one of those like we get too wrapped up with the word trend, I think, right? And this is, look, it's a trend, right? But it's, okay, let's break down what we're talking about. We're talking about a team that has home court advantage, usually means they're the better team, right, of the two teams that are playing usually. They lose game one. Then you expect, we always talk about the playoffs, and it's such a game of adjustments, so who has the most to adjust to usually after a loss, especially at the beginning of the series? Or after a game one at the beginning of the series, it's whatever team lost. If you won that game one, you just kind of keep doing what you've been doing, right? That worked well the first time. Let's keep doing it. So it's always, the onus is always put on that team that dropped the game to make the adjustments, and it's a lot easier, I think, to make adjustments when you're at home, right? So it's a lot of these. I just always try to tell people with trends, try to break down how they could make sense, right? Mm-hmm. Now, so do I believe in all situations like this number should be higher for the home team? Of course, and it probably should be significantly higher. Are these astronomical levels, though? Yes, they are. And I'm with you. I don't really know that should be moving a point spread. I mean, JVT, that closed, so I'm looking. It closed 7 here at South Point.
Yeah.
If maybe 7.5 elsewhere. I laid 4.5 with the Warriors on the opening line.
Right, so think about it. By the way,
2.5.
And they're catching 3.5 in game 3. So, like, they were 7-point favorites in game 2, and now it's down to, now it's a 3.5-point spread back in Los Angeles. Like, clearly it tells you
that 10.5-point swing.
That is the incorrect number. And I think, like numbers folks, since this is a number game, would tell you, take solace, my child. You were on the right side. Except for the fact that the result was not what you, right? Like, it was not what you wanted, and you got your teeth kicked in. And, like, I feel like that's the right way to do it. Like, like yesterday, again, I where my position is, I didn't get involved, but like when I saw that number climbing, I'm like, dude, I got it. Like, I want to bet the Lakers. But then I'd be sitting at a dog party yesterday with the only person watching the TV going, God, I hate my life. This is terrible.
Did you bring the beer?
I couldn't find it, so I apparently I looked it up more. I think it's a little bit more like Thanksgiving, like holiday special.
Yeah,
is what I found.
I did tell you it was like turkey brew or something.
So what's it called? I just stopped by a dog bakery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fancy. Did you feel fancy going into a dog bakery?
I felt like a loser. And like there was like this, I don't want to get into it. Like there was a couple there and they were like buying treats for their dogs and like they were like super into it. And I was just like, look, I like dogs.
You're like buy something and move along. Your dog will love
I was going to say, like, don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody coming in like, oh, you hate. No, I like dogs. Like dogs are cool. They're, man's best friend, whatever you want to say. But it's just like, like I don't need to be over the top when I'm buying Schnookums from, By the way, we don't get to the details of the fact that they had Cinco de Mayo taco-shaped dog treats there as the holiday special. Couldn't pick anything else from the Mexican culture. Had to pick the taco for the dogs.
Wow.
What's his name again? What's the dog's name? Holy smokes, I'm already forgetting the dog's name.
The dog's birthday?
Yeah, I can't remember. Arthur, thank you. Arthur's birthday was a hit. Although I'm pretty sure he thought we were all there to kill him. He looked pretty terrified.
Only dog
by the end of
there
the
at a
night.
bar, right?
Yeah, he looked pretty terrified.
Yeah, like, so going back to this though, like, so I think, look, do I think that trend is worth taking into account? Yes, I do. I think it is worth something, but but it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me though, JVT, when we talk about these exact situations, game 1, game 2. How do you then translate that to game 3s like we're going to see tonight and this weekend, right?
Yeah,
which makes it a lot tougher for me as a bettor.
And I actually, because I feel like maybe everything you talked about, because I think you had a really great point. What if all of those things, the ability to make adjustments, playing at home, theoretically, if you lost game 1, you would assume that your role players didn't play very well, so there's more of a chance that guys like Klay Thompson didn't really play particularly well in game 1, will play better in game 2. Is there a chance that actually all of that is equatable to like a 2.5-point spread move, right? Like, is it actually worth that, is what I'm saying. So maybe when you're talking about in these trends and laying 7, I guess I never use this term right, but I'll say it. In a vacuum, should you move 4.5 to 7 based off of just a loss and nothing else? No, but if you factor all those in, is that actually maybe worth it? When you're talking about everything that we've discussed, and thus you're actually getting this ridiculous clip. Again, it's only 22 games, so it's ridiculously small sample size.
Sample,
But I mean, maybe that is just worth everything you're talking about, worth 2.5 points.
And I think that's the other. And hey, we could make this our pro tip, right? It's any trend you're looking at and that you want to put some stock into. And I rarely do with trends. We rarely do with trends. I do think there is something to this one in this specific, very specific instance in playoff games, game 1, game 2. But whenever you're dealing with trends, you got to look at sample size, right? Like how it really is something that you got to look at and pay attention to. Because when you're talking this small sample size, yes, I think there's something to this, but it's still very small.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.